We see it every single year. New draft picks, new players, new expectations, and unfortunately some dudes that are put in the hot seat or dudes that need to step up because of those new draft picks and plus of, other reasons like production, injuries, and all of those things like that. But I think there are 5 players for the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, that need to step up in 2023 and beyond to really, not only stay on the roster, but really make the investment worthy for the Raiders. And if they want to have a spot, they got to pick it up. What's it from Zombieland? It's time to put up or shut up, something like that. Yeah, that's exactly what needs to happen with these 5 players for the Las Vegas Raiders. Number 1 is a guy we've shown a lot of love to, Malcolm Coons. Now, Malcolm Coons was a guy, as a former third-round pick coming out. He was a guy that was really impressive. I had a couple of sacks in his rookie year. Here, I'll show you right now. So I had a couple of sacks. Only played just over 100 snaps for the Raiders that year. They went to the playoffs and was really only got in action in about 5 games. So it was kind of shocking. Like, the guy literally had 3 tackles. 2 of them were sacks. So the success rate you kind of liked. But overall, it was kind of unfortunate. Like, this last year, appeared in 17 games, mainly on special teams, and really didn't get the time of day on defense. And now that the Raiders have selected Tyree Wilson with the 7th overall pick this year, he just gets pushed down farther on the depth chart, which does suck because I do think there is a place and a role for him on this team. I think he's a guy that really can come in and be that pass rushing guy. He's got a lot of the athletic traits. I love his bend. I love his speed. I love his physical traits a lot. I really think that with the right coaching, he can still be a solid player. In year 3, I definitely think he needs to really be given more of an opportunity because as a former third-round pick, like, this guy could be a dude. Absolutely. I love Malcolm Coons, and I think he needs to be put on the field, especially with Tyree Wilson. Like, this pass rush needs so much help, and Malcolm Coons can certainly help out with that. Player number 2. Now, Neil Farrell Jr., when I say needs to step up, like, we got a taste. Like scintilla of what he could potentially be. I think it was like week 9 when he absolutely stood up, but there were some games where you're just sitting, you were really excited about him. But overall, this last season was kind of a guy that you really wanted to see more from. And yes, did only appear in 9 total games, had 12 total tackles. Wasn't really that great in terms of the PFF grade and all of that, but I think it's just kind of relative. Again, it's different from the NFL. It's different from what you would expect coming from college and LSU, even though it's a solid program. He's a guy that, we did see some flashes from, earlier in the season, but we need to see more consistency. He's going to be more of that run grader or that run stopper, like I said, we saw some really good performances against the Broncos, Pittsburgh as well. We even saw, honestly, this was his first game coming out against Jacksonville, at Jacksonville. He had a couple of big-time run stops there, did miss a tackle, but overall had a couple of big-time stops. And yes, he needs to be given more of an opportunity, at 330 pounds. He's going to be that run stuffer, but I also think there's some things he can do in the passing game that will really help you out. Yes, you went after Byron Young in the 3rd round this year, but he's a guy that's going to eat up double teams. He's a guy that's really going to allow Max Crosby, Tyree Wilson, and Chandler Jones, the rest of these guys, to really get after the quarterback. And yes, I don't think it's necessarily because only in 1 year that we haven't seen a lot from him. I just want to see more. I think he's going to be a fantastic player for the Raiders, and I think he needs to be given more of an opportunity. Him and Matthew Butler both, because I do think that both of them, you've got a run stuffer in Neil Farrell Jr. and then a pass rusher in Matthew Butler, and now Byron Young and Tyree Wilson. The list goes on. We need to see more production. Player number 3 is kind of a shock. So Hunter Renfro only played about half of the games last year, but the year before that, dude is an absolute stud. Over 100 catches the year before, the year that the Raiders made the playoffs, 1,038 yards and 9 touchdowns, was the dude for Derek Carr. Let's be real here. But now it's a new regime, a new game plan, and really a lot of new thoughts for how these players are going to go out there and play. So, yes, Hunter Renfro in the slot is pretty much unstoppable to guard, but now you got Devontae Adams. You got Jacoby Myers. The Raiders brought in DeAndre Carter and Philip Dorsett. They also had DJ Turner, who showed some stuff last year. They drafted Trey Tucker in the 3rd round, who's going to be a fantastic, at least gadget player this year. So I don't want to say the clock is ticking for Hunter Renfro, and I believe he just got a huge extension in this last offseason too, or during the season, whatever it was. So we need to see more out of Hunter Renfro. This is a prime opportunity with all these weapons that are going to be around him. Like, he should really show up and show out with Jimmy G, a better tight end group, a better offensive line, and really a better defense that hopefully you really hope does does make some huge big-time plays. Player number 4 that I think really needs to step up, Divine Diablo. Now, Divine Diablo, I was stoked about Divine Diablo. His rookie year really showed out and did a lot of good things for the Raiders in a very limited amount of time. This last year, not so much. Only played about half of the games and did miss the rest of the season with an injury. 74 total tackles last year for the Raiders. And again, did have a pass deflection, but he was really lacking in a lot of other areas. And specifically, in the pass coverage area. So for week 1 against the Chargers, did allow 2 touchdowns. It was targeted 8 times, allowed 7 catches for 71 yards. The week after that against the Cardinals, targeted 8 times again, allowed 7 catches for 76 yards. And the list goes on all the way up until really the last 3 weeks of the season. Now, there were a couple of weeks in there that we were really excited about games against Denver and Kansas City. That first game, he really did show up and show out. I was really excited about him. But after that, it was, for those last 2 games of the season, not great. Did not get targeted in the Jaguars game. Only played a couple of snaps there. But again, he's solid against the run game, had over a 70.0 PFF run defense grade, but and the pass coverage, he did struggle. We just need to see more big-time plays from him because I do think he can be an absolute difference maker for the Raiders in a lot of different ways. We just need to see it. We need to see this guy get after it and be given more of an opportunity. I want to see more blitzes. I want to see more aggression. I want to see more of this guy, one-on-one. He's good in the run game. Let's see him do some of those other things. And then finally, on the defensive side of the football, I think the last player that really needs to step up is Trayvon Moehrig. Yes, the former second-round pick coming up out of TCU a couple of years ago. I was so stoked when the Raiders got him. Absolute stud from what I thought was the get-go. 55 tackles in both of his seasons last year for the Raiders, but let's be real. There were times where when he was targeted in coverage, you're kind of just like, I really don't understand what is going on right now. So, the first game against the Chargers was targeted a couple of times for 44 yards, including a 25-yard strike early there on. And then after that, he finished the year with being targeted 40 times, allowing 29 catches for 354 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Coverage grade, there was a lot left to be desired there with a 49.0 PFF grade. Overall finished with a 54.1 PFF grade. So again, I understand that, PFF isn't everything, but if you watch any amount of tape on him, yes, there was a lot left to be desired. He needs to be a guy that I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit here, but I do think you bring in Marcus Epps. You also drafted Christopher Smith II coming up out of Georgia. This is a little bit of writing on the wall. Hey, we need to see more production. Trayvon Moehrig, I do think that the clock is ticking, needs to really get his things together because he's a very promising player, very good player coming up out of TCU, the former Horned Frog. But overall, we need to see him be that guy over the top that we're really excited about and can get things done. But that is it for the Raiders. Those are 5 players that we think need to step up in 2023. Obviously, you can put Jimmy Garoppolo in that discussion as well. But for the most part, I think those players, mainly defensively, that's really what we need to see. But let us know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. Leave a like and a comment. It helps people find the show. We greatly appreciate all of your guys' support. You guys are all truthfully awesome. We love every single one of you. Down in the description below, you'll find all of our social media platforms. So give us a like and a follow there. Also, remember to give us a listen and sub on iTunes. And finally, if you have anything else you'd like us to cover, send us an email at thesportsbp@yahoo.com or put in the comment section down below. We would love to cover it. But let us know what you guys think about the 5 Raiders that need to step up in 2023 for the Las Vegas Raiders.